You're listening to the G-Spot podcast with Bri
and Alex,
where we dive into personal growth, lifestyle, relationships, and everything in between.
Chill with us every Wednesday for good vibes and real talk.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the G-Spot podcast. Here we are with another episode. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Doing good. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back. So today, as per usual, as we're starting this little segment here at the beginning of our podcast, we want to do a "What's the Cue?" where we discuss and answer a couple of questions at the beginning of our podcast. And today's subject for us to discuss will be,
Let's hear
it. Like, y'all men out there, don't do this.
You be funky sometimes.
Y'all men out there, if you're listening, which I hope you are, you should pay attention to these things, as we are female and we have a different perspective on things, and it's just good to hear us out.
Yeah, I find myself to be an expert at being a female.
Me too. I also the gene.
I have the genes.
Yeah, I have the genes.
And I also find myself to be an expert of
just
seeing men doing stupid things out there. But today's podcast is specifically for you, gentlemen. So
listen up. I know you're on your way to work. Drink that coffee. You're gonna need it. We're also this truth bomb that we're about to give you is also going to give you a jolt. It's going to wake you up better than that coffee that you're actually drinking.
Yes, and don't be offended. Don't be offended if you do any of these. It's not too late to change your tactics.
So, what's the cue, Alex? What is the cue? Well, I'll tell you. Our first question is: Does anybody else make food and refuse to eat it until you're specifically watching something?
This really hits home for me because I do this all the time, especially if I'm home alone and I have some free time to myself. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll make something extra delicious for myself, and then I'll maybe let it get lukewarm while I'm sitting there trying to find something I really, really want to watch.
Isn't that the hardest part?
HBO. It is.
The hardest part, searching, and you're like, well, fuck, my food's getting cold. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to eat while I'm, you're done eating by the time you freaking find something?
Or I'll take really small bites. I don't devour my food before I really get into the whatever it is I want to watch.
You have way more patience than me. Okay, so I definitely do this. I am such a I need my food hot. I need it hot.
Really?
Just
scorching?
I'm gonna burn my tongue off, and if I don't, it's not good.
That's how my husband is too.
But I really like to eat it while it's still hot and at least really warm. And I'm just you know what? I don't have time for this. And sometimes, especially if I'm with my boyfriend, he'll be searching, and while he's searching for something, I'm already halfway done eating. And then when it starts, I'm like, well, I finished. I'm just gonna digest.
It is what it is.
I'm just gonna digest and eat it. I mean, digest and watch it as I digest. So yeah, no, I definitely do that.
What is it about the combination of eating your food and watching the movie? Why do you have to wait? It doesn't make any sense. But at the same time,
right? You would think it's smarter.
I have to do it. I have to wait.
You think it's smarter, while we're cooking or while we're waiting for the food to be done, to choose something instead of when it's done. When it's done, sitting in front of you.
You make a solid point there, actually.
Right. Oh, we gotta use our time wisely. Yeah. Yep. So, and you all out there, if you all do this, we're with you. But now, I realize maybe it's a little more efficient if while we're cooking and waiting to actually use that time to search what we're going to freaking watch. That we can eat a hot meal while you're watching your delicious hot series, okay, on Netflix, Hulu, whatever you got. So, second question for what's the
second
cue?
One?
So we're going for the second one. This one's a little more in depth, guys. Is it wrong? Is it wrong for your parents to make? And this is for the youngins. This is kind of, a young person wrote this for sure. Is it wrong for your parents to make you go to church if you're an open atheist? Alex, what do you think?
Okay, so yes and no. Okay, so I'm going to start with the no, because I feel like that's like what everyone else would be thinking, like, oh my gosh, that's so wrong. But I feel like if you are young, like, I think that a lot of parents find that to be quality time. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to like necessarily agree with it, but they just want your presence there. They want to do something with you, and church is a part of their life. And for that small amount of time that you're living with your parents, I mean, suck it up. It's just an hour of your time, or however long it is. And then once you move out of your mama's house, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be an adult and make your own choices about whether or not you want to go to church, or if you want to go to a different church or not go to one at all, then that's on you. But I think just like respecting your parents' like rules, if that's one of their rules.
Solid point. I would see this as, and I totally agree with you, but just on the opposing end here, I would say that if you're a parent and you are kind of forcing your beliefs, even if it's just to spend time with them, right? Because you can spend time with them in other ways, but if they're openly trusting you with their beliefs and you're kind of disrespecting those beliefs, and you're like, well, I know you said this, but we're actually still going to force you to receive the word of God, like in this way or whatever, then it's kind of, it might F them up a little bit mentally.
Yeah, I could see that too.
There's that lack of trust. They're like, okay, well, you don't trust my beliefs. You don't, you don't respect my beliefs. Why should I respect yours? And there's already like a conflict there. So I would say if you're a parent and you're doing that to your kids, I don't know. It's a little weird because it's already a big deal that they're openly being an atheist, I guess, or like telling you that that's what they are, that's what they believe in as a person. I don't know how young this person is though. Like, I don't know if you're like 11-year-old.
So how, I wonder, like, so then what's like the age where you can like make your own decision about whether or not you believe in God or not? And then what's your backup? Are you just believing in this, you believing to be atheist because your friends are atheists, or like what has brought you to this decision? Like, how, I mean, religion's really big. Religion's huge.
It is.
And in
huge deal.
some ways it's like a lot of I mean, for instance, my grandparents, they spent a lot of time going to church, being members of their community. And they do a lot of like church events. They spend a lot of time at church in general. So it's like a part of their daily life.
Right. Routine.
So, gosh, it's really hard. I just wonder, like, at what age is it like okay for you to decide to make that decision on your own?
This is what I would maybe suggest. Okay, I am not a parent. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a parent. Okay, but if I was a parent and I had a kid who was an open atheist to me, I would probably just talk to them about it, try to understand it, so that way they know that I respect their decision to be an atheist.
Okay.
And whatever. Totally. So you have a talk with them, and you don't let it, don't have zero communication with them. You have an open talk with them and ask them why, and like what's their belief on this, and just kind of accept it and just listen. Just listen to them instead of opposing them the whole time. Like, listen to them. And then after that, maybe you say, okay, like, I respect your decision. And when you're 18 and you move out, like, you don't have to go to church, whatever. But at least for right now, while you're under our roof, me and your dad, or we would like you to just join us because it's our family time and it's part of our routine, and we want you to be a part of it. And if you don't really want to accept what they're saying, that's fine, but we just need you to be with us. Then that's a totally different conversation than just forcing you to go for no reason, because you're giving them a reason. At least you're kind of talking them through it. And
or if you're a really cool parent and you're just like, okay, believe what you want to believe, and this may be a phase or not, but I 100% support you. And if you, during this time of your life, you don't want to go to church, I'm not going to make you. And I'd rather support you than to have the argument.
Yeah.
And then that case, I could see that. I could see that too. I guess it just depends on what kind of parent you are.
Exactly.
Or you have.
And I think just trusting their belief and just kind of being open and listening to them is like so important. Because if I was a kid and I was telling my mom or dad this and they were just, no, well, you can't do that. You have to do this and go to our church and you have to believe what we believe. And it's like, okay, well, I feel like I'm never going to tell you anything ever again because I'm like scared of you now. You know, it's weird. So that's kind of just my answer.
Yeah,
for that.
I agree with that. I definitely see both sides for sure.
Yeah. So that wraps up what's the cue for today. Now let's jump into the topics. Let's jump in.
Let's get into it.
Dive in, deep dive. Our first kind of discussion today is that there's a fine line in being protective with your significant other and just being flat out jealous.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Men are so I feel like men think that being jealous is cute. Or I feel like some men think that, but some men are just like jealous by nature. Oh my gosh, such a turn off.
Oh no. Yeah, no.
That's but if you're with if you're with the wrong woman or the wrong guy, and some people find that attractive. Like some people are like, oh my gosh, I love to make my man jealous. Like, oh, that's toxic behavior. That shit's not cool.
Yeah, no. Just nip that shit in the bud. Okay. Yeah. Like that's not healthy. Like that's not going to grow into like if you're just dating, like, oh, it's been a couple of weeks and blah blah blah. But if you're actually being serious with this person, you're like, is this person marriage material? No, that's not marriage material. Like, period. No. It's already if it's that toxic in the beginning.
Drama material.
Yeah, and so being protective over your significant other, you can do that in a respectful way. Being jealous is it's a completely different topic. Being jealous is like, well, you can't have this friend because blah, 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 blah. No, you're being controlling, because then jealousy can turn into controlling and abuse real fast.
Jealous that you're spending like time away from them and you're spending it with your friends or your family.
Yeah. And that's guys, so annoying. I will tell you, it's a huge turnoff. And if you're with someone that doesn't find it a turnoff, I don't know if that's a good relationship at all. Like we said, that is not a good trait to have if they're like craving you to be jealous. Like that is not going to work out, period. You can respectfully tell them, hey, maybe I don't feel comfortable with you doing this because of, I don't know, maybe it's like you think it's like maybe a potential like actual dangerous situation. You don't want them out, like super late by themselves or like something that's like reasonable. Like, well, of course not. I wouldn't.
And also, like, if you're with somebody that actually respects you, they're not doing anything to make you jealous. Like, I would never think about hanging out with another like man alone without my husband. Like that's not something I would ever put myself. That's not a situation I would put myself in or my husband.
See, that's lack of trust, because that jealousy is coming at a deep rooted. That's coming from a lack of trust. And it's like, you wouldn't be jealous if you trusted this person, really, like truly trusted this person. Because you can be the type of person who's really cool with like, hey, she has a new dude friend from whatever, from this other friend group or something. I don't know. But it's like she's communicating with you like, hey, this person's cool. Like we should both, or you should meet him, or you hang out with him, whatever. Like, it's open. Like it's open. It's not like, oh, I'm going to this place and this person's going to be there. And, it's like shady. That's a little weird. But if she's being open with you and she's communicating like, like, hey, we met this new people, like maybe we should hang out with them too, like as a couple, as a unit, like not individually.
Or even if that other person doesn't have a significant other, the three of you being friends is totally normal.
Yeah, like it's just you're overthinking it. And you are being very defensive, and maybe you were cheated on in the past, and that's why you're scarred, and that's why you're like you can't.
I'm all sad for them. Oh yeah. We've all been there, man. We've all been there.
Really, like it's like I get it. I totally get the lack of trust that you might have right now. But if you really want to look for someone and you want to look for an actual healthy relationship, you have to get over that. You have to get over that hurdle, whatever it takes.
Drop
Whether
your
it's
baggage.
therapy, drop your baggage. Just fucking drop. It happened. Like, it's over. It doesn't mean that everyone in the world is bad, because that's what I tend to notice is like people who have been hurt by someone else in the past, they think they're going to be hurt again, which is a natural reaction. I understand.
Yeah.
But that's the mental thing that you have to, it's a hurdle. Your mind is putting you in a state of fear, which is turning into jealousy, which is going to turn into controlling and possibly abusive behavior, maybe. You want to heal yourself before you even jump into another relationship. Let's get that straight. Get that straight.
That's
heal
huge.
Yourself first, boo.
Heal yourself. Oh my gosh. I know so many people who just go from like one relationship to another relationship, and they just keep jumping, and they don't take any time in between to just like focus and just heal from their past wounds and just really get to know themselves and think about what went wrong and what they could have done different, and how that relationship had the potential to change them in some way, or whatever. But there needs to be like a growth period, I feel like, in between relationships. Like, you need to just have a moment to like mourn whatever was lost, you're and just kind of heal from that before you kind of just like jump into another serious relationship. I feel like that's really, really vital.
Exactly. So that's kind of what we just wanted to like, just talk about in terms of like jealousy and like healing that sort of, I guess, trauma, because I would definitely call it trauma.
Oh, for sure.
If you've been hurt. But the other point we really wanted to talk about was, other than that, and really like straying away from that mental hurdle of jealousy and all that stuff, this kind of has a little bit to do with it. But having time apart from your significant other is really healthy, and you need to have separate time for yourselves to explore different hobbies and be your own person. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to know who you are on the inside truly, and you're just depending on this person to fulfill your needs, like to fulfill this gap in your life or something. They're not there to fulfill that for you. You have to be a full person. And then this person is kind of entering your life as like a compliment. Like a teammate, like, hey, compliment. Yeah, complimentary person into your life.
Yeah.
But never go into a dating scene or like looking for a serious relationship thinking like, oh, I'm going to find my other half. Like, oh my God, they're my other half. They complete me. Like, those phrases are so cliche, but they're so dangerous because people will literally feel that way. They're like, whoa, no, like this person is literally my happiness. Like, I'm not happy at all without this person near me at all times.
Yes. If your happiness depends on a person, that is a problem. Whether even if it's a friend, like even if your happiness depends on if your friend is available to hang out tonight and go out, like that's a problem. You got some shit to figure out, I feel like.
So it's just like, dude, like if you want to go, freaking, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I don't know. What do you like to do, Alex? Like, what's your, like, what would you say is your separate hobby that you would do by yourself?
I take time to like paint or draw or arts and crafts. I love to do just like artsy things. That's just in my nature. And that just like really helps clear my brain. And so my husband will literally just be like, all right, like he'll take the baby in the next room and just like, be full on dad and let me do my thing. And even if it's for a few hours or.
Yes. Healthy. That's like beautiful. Like that's honestly what everyone should really aspire to do in their relationship, because you need to explore who you are throughout this lifetime. I don't think we should be living for other people to make us happy. That's never going to end well. That is just that's not a recipe for success. Like health and wealth. That's not going to happen.
I just feel like in general, like you deserve better. Like for yourself, you deserve to have a good relationship with yourself. Like that's the most important relationship. That's what's everlasting. Like beyond anything, the one that you have with yourself is going to outlive any relationship. And that has to be on point. You really have to connect with yourself.
You do. And you know what?
Stand by that.
Yes, and when you and I'm specifically talking to the dudes out here, when you find confidence in yourself, you are going to be a million times more attractive to us females,
Totally.
at least. From the female
Totally.
perspective, definitely we are looking for people who know themselves. Like
Mhm.
that is one of the biggest turn-ons ever. If you have hobbies and you like to do stuff and you know yourself and you're confident in who you are, oh my god. Like, yeah. Like
You win,
that's a
baby.
really, really good sign. And at that point, you don't, you when you have your little personality and you have your confidence, which I feel like a lot of men struggle with, of
Mhm.
confidence, and I get it, man. Like it's probably crazy out there, and you're probably like, oh, or maybe she's too good for me, or I don't know. Never put yourself down first.
Yeah.
Just
Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. I heard this quote the other day and it was like, never say no to yourself. Like, let
mm,
other people tell you no, but you don't tell yourself no first. Like, you don't know unless you put
yeah,
yourself out there.
true.
You never know what the other person is going to assume or what they're going to think or what they're going to say.
Hmm.
Don't automatically give yourself a no. Let other people give you a no, but not you. You always go for it. Always shoot your shot.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
in
they're
what
gonna
in
say
whatever it
no.
is.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Like the worst that's gonna happen is that they say no. And if they say
Mhm.
no, don't keep pushing it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen y'all in the DMs, okay? Like, I have seen you all in the DMs. I know what kind, like, if you are desperate, if you are reeking of desperation, like,
Mhm.
oh, I need
Yeah.
I need this fulfillment. And it's not only just sexual fulfillment, but like, just, oh, well, I need to find someone and I'm desperate. And you like, we can
Desperate.
smell that
We
from
can
a
smell it.
mile away. We could smell it from a mile away.
Yeah.
If we can sense that you are too dependable to
Mhm.
like, we're not your mom.
Yeah.
We're not your mom. We're not here to be your mothers. Okay. We're not here to fulfill that need. And well, if you have a relationship in which the woman or whoever you're with, your significant other, is fine with a certain
Mhm.
role and whatever, fine, cool. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, um, men who reek of needing to depend on someone all the time and reeking of desperation and, oh, well, I don't know, I've just been real lonely. It's like, okay, like that's not what you should start a conversation with, right?
Yeah.
Like, do
Oh
not
my
start a
gosh. Yeah.
conversation like that. I've been real lonely. Yeah, my ex broke up with me. Yeah, I've been divorced. This, just kind of, okay, like, leave that out. Like, you can talk about yourself. If you're meeting this person for the first time, you have that little boost of confidence, man. You're already
For
kind of
sure.
shooting yourself in the foot by starting off on like a really negative
Needy.
way. You can have trauma. We all have some sort of trauma, but
Everybody
don't
has
start
trauma.
off that way. Like, don't just kind
Just
of be
looking.
light about it. And
Yeah.
another tip I have for you, which I think is super important in my opinion, is, don't go meet someone and automatically think that you're going to date, like you're going in for a date. Just go in mentally, because you're going to scare yourself. I know. You're going to scare yourself and intimidate yourself to where you're going to be all nervous. You're going to be like, oh my God, but this is, what if she's a girl of my dreams? You're like skipping
Yes.
ahead. You're skipping ahead a million steps. You're
Mhm.
like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, what if she doesn't, just, you look, put that away, and put that away, and just think of this as you're meeting up with a potential friend. Like, why are we immediately thinking date instead of friend? Me,
Yes.
I operate in a way of like, if you're not my friend first, it's not likely that I'm going to be interested, because we have to develop some
Same.
sort of friendship. We have to develop a
Same,
friendship
same,
first,
same.
and then, oh, we'll see what happens. But
Mhm.
if you're already having these expectations, no, don't.
Yeah.
Just go in with zero expectations. Period. That
Yeah.
will
Zero.
relieve that will relieve your mind of all the stress, because what are you
Mhm.
stressing about? You haven't met this person yet. Like, you're already putting yourself in a bad position. So
Yes.
zero expectations is better. Okay, like, seriously. So that is my hot tip for that. Uh, just to relieve the stress. Chill out. Chill out.
Chill.
And
I've dated guys after like the first date and would start talking to me about like future us, like what we would do in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah, see, that's something you don't wanna do too soon also. Like, you can't assume that every woman is already thinking about marriage just because you are.
Yeah.
Just kind of give it some time. It takes a long time to know someone.
It really does.
People underestimate the amount of time it takes to actually know somebody before
Yes.
marriage.
Yeah, it does. But some people are so ready just to get like married at hello. Like they'll set all aside like their values and what they are really looking for in a girl just because they're so ready to settle down that they will accept anything.
See, that's the desperation. That's
Oh,
the
it's so desperate.
desperation
It's
we're
such a
talking
desperate
about.
move. And
Do
honestly,
not.
girls that and the ones that they end, not necessarily just girls, but the ones that they end up with,
Mhm.
I mean, 8 times out of 10 is not the person you were really looking for. You're going to end up in a
Yeah, 'cause you're
shitty
settling.
situation.
And
You're
that's another big
settling.
point. Don't settle because one, that means you don't have the confidence. You're being desperate, and that means you're going to settle. But guess what, dude? You have one life. What are you going to do with it? You have one
That's it.
life. And don't think you're all. If you're not confident in yourself truly, if you do not have yourself set up, if you're at a job that you hate, if you are in a really unhappy place, I will say that you're not ready for a relationship yet.
You're not
Don't
ready
put
to
that
date.
you're not ready to date because you have to do self-care first. If
For
you're
sure.
unhappy, you have to figure out what that's coming from. I'm not saying
Yeah.
obviously there's going to be a lot of relationships where people have mental health issues and they're there for support, right? But the thing you have to do is realize if you have mental health issues, if you have trauma in the past that you have to deal with and get therapy for or do something, right? And not only trauma, but if, like I said, if you're working at a job that you absolutely hate, you're not making enough money to support yourself,
Low
that's going to give you
self-confidence.
naturally, that's going to give you low self-confidence.
Yeah.
Understandable. That's going to give you low self-confidence. So you have to boost that up by changing something about your life. It's like
Mhm.
your life has to be first before you go out and date and try to find
Mhm.
a significant other. Try going on different job hunts, or if you need to like get a specific skill, work on that skill to get to that place,
Mhm.
because then that's when your confidence high, that's when you're more or less ready to at least go and explore, right?
Mhm. For sure.
You're going to be on a better, in a better path because you're just going to have that like radiating from you.
Right.
And this leads into our next point here. Do not be, let's
The
say
opposite.
don't be the opposite. If you're like reaching this point where you're like, hey, yeah, all right, yeah,
This is
if you
it.
care about, oh yeah, shit, I'm the shit, like, okay, don't be cocky. This is a big
Don't
turn
be
off.
cocky. It's such a
Don't be
turn
freaking
off.
cocky. Do not be cocky. I don't understand. Like, oh, sometimes I see those ads, Alex. Like, I don't know if you get those, but it's like they're showing off their Lamborghini or like whatever. I'm just like, ew. This is
Ew.
the exact person that I would never be with, because that's actually kind of a little sign of a little bit of insecurity if you're a little bit too cocky. I'm like, well,
Yes, yes.
what are you
So
actually like
you can
trying to do
be
here?
like self-confident. Self-confidence is there's a fine line between self-confidence and then being overly cocky. Like if you're walking
Mm-hmm.
around like your shit don't smell, it smells. It's
Yeah.
funky. We can smell
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the
Smells
only
like
people
shit.
you're attracting is, I mean, unless you like that kind of person that
Yeah.
likes that kind. I mean, there's someone for everybody.
I'll say that, like, there is, but at least
There's somebody for
for me,
everybody.
for us, probably for most people that I know,
Hmm.
this would be a huge turnoff to us. In
Yeah.
terms of like, if you're overly confident, where
Hmm.
you're trying to show off something. I'm like, I don't want to be shown off to. Just tell me who you
Yeah.
are. I just want to know who
Yeah.
you are as a person. I don't want to know how much shit you have. I don't
Or
care
how
about how
much
much
money you
money you make.
make,
Like, okay, are you like,
how often you go to the gym, or I
yeah. Look,
don't.
like the money thing, yeah, I want you to be able to like provide for yourself.
Hmm.
Yes. Like, please don't just be like surviving and like, suffering.
Day by
Like,
day.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course we want to see someone, we want to be with someone who's like, they have like their goals and they have their income where they're comfortable, right?
Hmm.
But after a certain amount of money, like that's not, at
Yeah.
least there's gonna
If
be girls out there that care about it, but I don't know. It's more about
not
who you are as
anyone
a
genuine.
person. Yeah, that's going to be a very superficial relationship that you're going to enter if you're with someone who's only being with you for that. And then that's probably down the line going to be like, oh, wait, I thought she actually loved me. No, she was there for the money, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you have to pay attention to those signs, which a lot of people do not pay attention. They're not like aware of what's happening. You have to know that there's these superficial people out there who are there to get you for what you have materialistic wise. They don't care about who you are. If you have a lot of money and you're flaunting it, you're going to attract the wrong people. If you want to be with those people and you're cool with this completely superficial relationship until you're 80 or whatever, I mean, sure, do it. But that's not my recommendation.
And then to add to that, like, I feel like guys who are really cocky, they have a tendency to also just want to talk about themselves.
Oh.
And they don't actually care about who you are as a person. At least that's what it comes off as.
Yeah, I mean, you need to listen.
Yeah.
I am
ask
talking
me questions.
You need to listen. Okay.
Ask your date questions about themselves, even if maybe what they're saying is not interesting. Fake it. Like, just be courteous and be a gentleman and just be like
just
interested.
Try to listen. Just try to listen. And obviously, this is good advice for anybody. Like, you need to listen to the other person. But since we're specifically talking to you dudes out there, yeah, you need to just sit back. Don't be, don't be overly freaking cocky. I mean, if you're that type of person naturally, I don't know. Just kind of.
I don't know.
I don't even know what to say to you. Don't ever basically be self-aware. Do not let yourself get to a point where you are that cocky about yourself that you're not going to listen to anyone around you. Come on. Like, you're not going to get any genuine friends out of that or genuine relationships. Realistically, that's not going to happen.
True.
So you have to sit back. You have to be willing to listen to the other person's interests. It's not just about your interests. If you're a gamer, I know y'all on Twitter. If you're a gamer, I know y'all gamer guys out there, if they're not into games and they're into something completely different, you're not going to shut them out just because they don't like games. Okay?
Right.
You all are going to have different interests. If they like games, cool. If they don't, you need to listen to what they're, ask them questions about it. You need to engage in conversation. You need to ask, oh, hey, like tell me more about that. Like, not with those specific words, but like, you need to be interested. You need to be engaged in conversation. You have to ask them questions about, like, knowing more about what they're interested in their hobbies, what they listen to, blah, blah, blah. Be a listener, dude.
Oh my gosh. And start off dating already being yourself. Like, I don't want to find out who you really are 3 months down the line. I find out, like, we have nothing in common. Like, every time we hang out, there's nothing can be said. Like, nothing new is learned about each other. It's just...
It's the worst. You know what? And so I was listening to another podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I had this story back in my head because this man is a psychologist, and these people call in with their stories, and it was, this time it was in particular a man who had just become, I guess, a recent husband to his wife, or maybe they were like 2 years in, actually, not that recent. But they were together for like 6 years already before they got engaged. And he admitted that before, in those 6 years, it was still kind of rocky. Like, it wasn't, it really was not the best relationship. What did they decide to do? They decided to get married. Do not do that. Like, come on, guys. Please have some common sense, some self-awareness. That is not going to work out. And then they ended up, from what he was saying, he was miserable in this marriage because what this person did to him, what his wife did to him was... And this is him taking the back seat. So this was him taking the back seat and just accepting everything that's happening to him instead of changing and leaving. Okay, because in this case, he didn't do anything wrong really, except for not be self-aware, and he was being an idiot.
The wife just probably didn't want to be lonely. Didn't want to start over with somebody else.
Well, see, that's the thing. He settled, and so the wife, right after they got married, was like, "Oh, I don't have to be nice to you anymore." Literally said that to him. So what you were saying about, you need to get to know someone, they need to be themselves from the beginning. Like, this woman clearly, like, was not. She was putting on an act somehow for 6 years. how the hell do you put on an act for 6 years? I don't know. But she literally was like, oh, I don't have to be nice to you anymore. Like, I have you in my trap, basically is what she was saying. And he's miserable. And what he did that was wrong was continue a relationship that was terrible. He knew from his gut, which always go with your gut feeling, by the way.
Yeah.
He knew from his gut feeling, he knew from his gut feeling that it was wrong and that he didn't actually love this person. And then they ended up having a child. Aww. Why would you bring a child into this situation? So, men, I am talking to you where if you feel like this is happening to you, you need to not take the back seat. Okay, you have to like actually stand up and leave before you enter this any further.
Right.
Because you have to be self-aware enough to where if you're like, wait, I'm not being treated right. Because abuse comes from both sides.
Right. It really does. It really, really does. And a marriage and a kid should not be the Band-Aid to your broken relationship.
Period. And I have this little stat here that I actually found. And it says that in the first 7 years in a relationship, first 7 years were because they became parents. Okay, so a staggering 67% of couples in this reported study reported a decline in their relationship satisfaction after the arrival of their first baby. 67%.
That's so heartbreaking. More
than half. It's so sad. Do not have a child. This should be common sense, but
it's some people don't
do this to repair. Yeah, don't have a child to repair your relationship. It's not going to work.
Don't be afraid to go back out there. Like if you are in a terrible relationship and you're like would rather be in it than to be single, I promise you that's not the way to go. You'll be more miserable in the long run than you will be happy.
You are not going to force someone to change. And I'm talking to both here, but like you're not going to force someone to change. If you're staying this long because you think, oh, well, they're going to change their ways eventually. No, they're not.
Things are going to be different once we're married. Yeah, more miserable.
Yeah, more miserable. Exactly.
Relationships are hard. Marriage is hard. Find somebody solid to like rock with it. Like
you have to take the time and the energy to do this search.
But you also have to be solid. You also have to be the person for like whoever you think your significant other is. Like in your head, you imagine like somebody like if you sit down and you think, okay, what does my significant other, look like? What does she act like? What does she do? Like this is an imaginary list of like the must-haves of who you think your significant other should be like or then you also have to match that. Like you as a person, you need to find them on their level. Like you're not going to find that by being unhappy, not confident, or whatever it is that you may be lacking at the moment. You have to raise the bar on yourself, get to where you need to be to find that person that you're looking for.
Preach, fucking preach. It's so true. It's true. You really have to narrow it down. Like in this life, you have to try. You just have to try at everything that you do. You have to try hard, and that includes finding the right person for you. Totally. You have to actually put in the effort. You can't just expect them to show up at your door. It's not going to happen. You have to put in the work and the time to not only find yourself, but also, like you were saying, just kind of narrow down in your mind, like, oh, like, who am I picturing right now? Like, who can I picture next to me right now? And what does that look like? Start envisioning it for yourself.
Right.
And that'll give you, like, some hope. That'll give you a little more confidence in what you're looking for in a person and what you don't like, which is really important, actually. More important than what you do like is what you don't like in a person.
Totally.
Because that's, and once you know what you don't like in a person, if a person that you meet is showing all those signs, you can't go in and be like, oh, but they're super, like,
maybe they'll change.
They're so hot. They're so, I don't want to let this one go. But then they're like totally wrong for you in that, in that department, in the personality department. It's like, do not be that shallow. I'm going to kick you in the ass later. And yeah, like I said, you can't expect people to change for you. You can change as a person if you want to, but you're not going to change someone else unless they want to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Period.
And I think something else I want to add is always be, if you know, if you're in a relationship, don't be afraid to communicate. Like, don't be afraid to talk about if your feelings are hurt, if you're upset, if you're holding something in. Like, don't be afraid to talk about those things. Like, you may think like, oh,
Mhm.
that's not masculine. Like, only women talk about their feelings. Like, no,
Oh
it's not.
God, this is
That's
a
not
really
true.
big problem. I know it's a really big problem because it's men in
Shit.
particular have, problems communicating like
Yes,
their
and they
feelings
let
because of
shit
culture.
fester, and it's not
Yes.
good.
No, that shit's gonna build up
Mm-hmm.
and build up and build up, and wherever you are in life, it's gonna just hit you. It's just gonna hit you
Yes.
really hard, and you're not gonna know what to do, and you don't know what to do with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And I really don't want you listening to get to that point. I really, really don't. And communicating and letting it all out, even if that means
Mm-hmm.
just writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel comfortable telling someone this, or these issues that you're having, deep childhood trauma issues or whatever, write that stuff down first
Yeah,
until
you have
you're ready to
to
talk to
let
someone
it out
about
at
it.
some point. Mm-hmm.
You have to let it
Totally.
out in some way, in some form, in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Because people who end up, abusive or, that sort of person, they have
A lot of
stuff.
shit
They have a
inside.
lot of crap inside that they never knew
Mm-hmm.
how to deal with, that they had no one to talk to, and all of the anger and all of the hate just
Mm-hmm.
builds up inside of them.
Totally.
And you don't want to end up that way, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't want to end
Yeah.
up that way. And the only solution to give ourselves some freedom is to literally communicate what we're feeling to people
Mm-hmm.
that we trust. If you don't have someone that you trust in your circle, um, you need to go out and maybe find a group. I don't know if you go to church, find a church, find a family member that maybe you feel like you can talk
Mm-hmm.
to, something like that, because you
And
have to let it
then
out to somebody at some point.
right, right. And
Therapist, of course.
if your spouse you feel is not the safe person, that's also not your person. Red flag.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. If you
Yeah.
feel and you know what? Don't intimidate yourself either, because you can think, oh well, no, I don't know what she's gonna say or what they're gonna say. Um, I'm just not gonna. I'm
If
just
it's
not gonna
all
tell them.
love, there's going to be no judgment whatsoever, and
Yeah,
they're going to
you
want to
need to
figure shit
trust
out
them.
with you. Mm-hmm.
If anything, this is a good test,
Yes.
because if you have all this baggage with you and you feel like you can't talk to this person, yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
a red flag. But also, don't scare yourself, because you might be overthinking it. You might be like, oh, well, I don't know what she's gonna say. I don't know what's gonna happen, or she's gonna think
Yeah.
this about me. First of all, don't overthink it. Just get them to sit with you and really be genuine and be like, I really have something to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I have something to get off my chest. Like, it's been on my mind for years, and let it out. And you might be surprised that they just want to help you and they just want to
Mm-hmm.
listen and like actually try to get you help.
Mm-hmm.
That is most likely what's going to happen if it's a loving, healthy relationship.
Right. Even if it's something like not as, trauma based, but if it's like
Yeah,
just a fight that you had and you feel like you
that
can't
too.
actually have a
Yeah, of course.
conversation about,
Oh
like,
yeah.
I remember when my husband and I first started dating, he was not a huge communicator. And I would just be like, oh, I can tell
Oh
something is
yeah.
off. Please
Yeah.
just tell me. And I would just be like,
Yeah.
spit it out, man, for the
I
love of
recognize that
God.
too. When there's something wrong, I recognize it
I could just feel
immediately.
like a shift in his energy
Oh
and
yeah.
my husband
I'm the
like is
same way.
just the person where like his facial like he can't
Oh
hide when he's
yeah.
upset. Like he just looks pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would be like, please tell me. Like he'd go to bed, like just would not say anything. And I'd be like, oh my
Oh no,
God.
going to bed
Like,
angry. Ooh, nope.
oh, and I would not
That's
be
it.
angry. I'm just because I'm the type of
Yeah.
person that if I'm upset, I would just gonna let you know right then and there why I'm upset.
Yeah. Straightforward.
And if there's a way that you can fix it, or if I could fix it, or we can figure it out together, I want to do that right then and there. And then I want to be
Mhm.
done with it. Like I don't want to
Yes,
dwell.
just put it away. Yeah, dwelling.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's another thing. Do not dwell on
Yeah.
these situations.
No, or bring up the
Letting it
past.
in.
Fuck.
Oh
Don't
no,
bring
no,
up
no.
the past with your significant others. Please do not do
Do
this. It
not.
is
I've had
so terrible.
no. I've had a friend who I guess who had this specific situation where yeah, like it was that kind of thing where he was like bringing up the past all the time, and it's really hard to that's just you know
move
that person
on.
might be insecure, or
Mm-hmm.
when someone is dwelling, that is one of the biggest turnoffs ever.
It really
If
is.
you're a
It really
dweller,
is.
it's like, dude, if you cannot let go of yesterday and move forward, dude, how am I, how are we
How are
going to
we
move
gonna
forward with this
grow?
relationship? How are we going to grow?
Right.
How are we going to move on from this spot that we're in and see the future and grow together with this? It's not going to happen if you're too busy dwelling and you're
I
pissed and
know.
blah, blah,
I
blah.
know.
It's just ridiculous. Like, why are you wasting your precious energy on that shit? It's
I know.
negative. And when you're thinking about negative shit all the time, you're going to manifest negative shit into your life. And that's just a rule of the universe. And that's just how the universe works. That's just how it is. If
It
you're
really
if you're
is.
negative, if you're bringing negativity to the table all the
You're
time,
gonna receive it back.
yeah, you're going to receive it back a million times harder, probably. That's just how it works. So you best not dwell.
Mm-hmm. Let it go.
Talk
Let it
about stuff.
go.
Let it go. Communicate. You're gonna feel that like relief. You're gonna be like, oh my god, like I've been holding it in for that fucking long, and
Yeah.
now you're gonna feel like a free man. You're gonna feel like a free
Mm-hmm.
man. You're gonna be able to actually function. Like your mental
Yeah.
health will probably improve after
Yeah.
that, discussion.
Right.
So that's a really
Now,
important point.
it
Yes.
really is. Now my husband is like an open book. Now if there's something that's upsetting him, he'll tell me right away. And I'm like, oh,
Good.
okay.
Yeah. Honestly. Well,
It is
and
really
that's how
good.
I like it. That's how I like it
Mm-hmm.
too. It's just like, no, just tell me. Just tell me.
Just
If there's
tell
something bothering
me.
you, if there's something wrong, if
Let's
there's something
figure it
I said,
out.
if
Mm-hmm.
there's something I said, I'm gonna apologize. Like I do not want to dwell on something that I said. I will gladly take the hit for it. I'm like, no, I
For
was wrong.
sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Admit that you're wrong also. Yeah,
right,
admit that you're
right.
wrong. Um admit that you're wrong. That is a huge thing. And be humble and just know, like, you're not going to know all the
Mm-hmm.
answers. Your significant other also might not know all the answers, but just admit when you're actually wrong. Okay, just let it go.
Let it out. Yeah.
Oh
Another
yeah.
thing, if you are in a healthy relationship, you landed the girl, you landed the guy, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
um, whatever your situation is, please respect them. Like I do not comment like love eyes on other girls like IG
Oh
pictures.
Lord, why do people
Don't
think
be
this is
praising
okay?
other people. Like that's so fucking embarrassing to your other person, like your other partner.
Why
That
would you think that is okay,
it's not cool,
y'all?
man. It's
It's
not
not
cool.
okay. That
Oh
is
my
like that's like
gosh.
a little small form of like cyber cheating. Like, why are you gonna be trying to like, ooh, like be a little flirty with this person on this
For
picture or
real.
whatever the hell it
Oh,
is? Like, what? Why are you trying to start this? Like, what are you doing? If I
don't
think
do
you're
it.
looking at other people and like engaging with their stuff in that way, like,
Mhm.
sure, you can appreciate like, oh, like someone pretty. Okay, sure, whatever. If you're like engaging with this person in their comments or in their DMs or something,
That's
and
super disrespectful.
you're in a relationship, no, that's just not gonna fly. That's just not gonna fly with me. Period.
Yeah, me either.
Why are you doing that?
That shit
It's
would
just like,
piss
why?
me off.
Because think about it. Why are you doing it? Why are you
Right.
doing it? Are you trying to get a reaction from that person? Are you trying to get them to talk to you? Why are you trying to talk to them?
I
That's
know.
literally a form of
I
cyber
know.
cheating, and I feel like some guys don't care. But if you're doing that, then there's something wrong with your relationship, and you're not happy because you're
Yeah,
out
that's
looking for something else.
right. And that's like the equivalent, like if social media was not a thing like that, to me, that's the equivalent of like walking up to like a perfect stranger at a
Yeah,
bar and being like, "Hey, what's up?"
yeah.
Same
You're
thing.
like trying to engage in
I
conversation
like
because they're attractive.
I like the way that dress fits you. I like the way you look in it, or I think you look sexy. Like what the fuck? You would not do that shit in front of your girlfriend. If you did it behind her back, that shit would.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really really a cause for concern. I
freaking
feel
red
like.
flag for us on our
Mm-hmm.
end. That's a huge
Totally.
red flag. Like, hell no. How am I going to trust you after doing this shit?
It's just
No.
embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Like, oh, please don't respect your fucking significant other
It's
like that.
yeah, no. It's so dumb. Like, And I feel like some people won't even take that seriously. They're like, what? It's just like an emoji. I'm like, it's not just an emoji. Like, it's not just an emoji. It's not just this.
It's not.
It's a whole act of going to someone's account, DMing them, or
stalking their page, liking
their
every other picture.
Yeah, like that's a little weird. Like you're a little bit that's obviously on the side of like you were trying to get their attention.
Well, that sounds like you want to be single.
Yeah, that sounds like you're out looking. Like what else is that gonna think about if a girl did that to you? Hello.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's not cool. That's not right.
I have this guy friend, and I'm sure he doesn't know that I know this, but so I have this guy friend. Him and I have a mutual friend that's another girl. So my guy friend is in a serious committed relationship. You know, they have kids together, whatever. And I happen to just be friends with this other female that's not their wife. I didn't even know they knew each other, but I came across her picture. It was just on my feed or whatever. And I noticed that this guy is like commenting heart eyes on this girl's picture. And I'm like, hold up. And then, a couple days later, I see another picture of this girl. She posts another selfie and she's obviously trying to be cute. She's single, by all means, get it, girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there he goes again. He likes her picture, then comments like, oh my gosh, she looks so beautiful here. Like, what? Oh my gosh. Your wife would be pissed. Like, dude, that's what I mean by embarrassing. No. Like, you do not know who is seeing your shit. Like, who knows that person or who's come across your fucking comment. Like, that shit is embarrassing.
And guys, look, okay, if you're listening, if you're coming here and you're from Twitter, right? I love you all. By the way, I love my Twitter followers. You all are really cool and funny. I love you. But I know some of y'all are in relationships and you're commenting on my pictures. And I know because you've mentioned you have a wife or something in my comments or whatever. And then you're over here commenting on my photos. I might say, oh, thanks, dude. But if I was your wife and like...
yeah.
You're commenting on some random Twitter girl. Like, I understand. Maybe it's just with like really innocent intention. But that's not really... Well, like we're saying... If you're actually saying something like kind of vulgar or you're like, oh, you're so sexy. And if you have a wife and you're commenting even on my stuff like that, be like, dude, just please respect your wife.
Just respect.
Like, I appreciate the engagement or that you're trying to engage with my stuff, but if I was your wife, like I'd be so pissed if you were doing that, and it's just like, so I see it happen. And, of course I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, what if your wife see this? I'm not going to comment that to you. I'll just,
but I'm going to tell you right here, y'all better calm down.
But if you're listening and you got wives and you're commenting on my shit and you're not single, I don't want your wife or girlfriend coming into my DMs being like, why is my boyfriend...
Don't talk to my man.
Like, I got nothing to do with it. You got to control this man. Look, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Because I know some of y'all are in relationships or you're married. And a lot of y'all, I think, are probably searching or single, whatever. Fine, cool, whatever. Yeah. But if you're in a committed relationship, and you're over here making those types of comments.
And maybe you want to be single, and in which case, drop your girl. Like, don't drag her out. Don't drag her. Don't drag it out. Like, just end it.
Don't drag it on. Don't.
For both of your sakes.
Please don't drag that shit on. Anyways, had to make that comment because I've observed it myself. I've seen it myself on my own stuff. Right. I'm just like, no, you know what? I get you're trying to compliment. I appreciate the compliment, but your wife would not appreciate that compliment towards me. I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, that was more or less all of the points we wanted to make today. I hope you listened. We were loud and clear. And
I mean, we're here to support you. We're here to guide you.
we are. Yeah. I'm also yelling at you a little bit.
We're also just pointing our finger at you and just like shaking it in your face.
Honestly, some people need to hear it straight. Hear it straight. I'm a straightforward type of person.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes. To wrap up this episode, we have a little bit of time left. I've been interested in like French culture, right? In French culture, they don't consider their children the biggest thing in their life, basically. They take their self-care first, their relationships first, and then it's their child. And it has nothing to do with not loving your child. No. It's something that us Americans have totally, in my opinion, a little bit twisted, because
Absolutely.
because we tend to put our children at the front of
Very top,
everything, at the very top of our list of our
which is
priorities, but not us.
understandable. Like, that's your kid, like that's your baby, and you want to protect them, and you want to love them, and you want to give them all good things. But the
Mm-hmm.
best way to be a positive impact is to give them, like, be a positive role model. So,
Yes.
for me personally, like for me and my husband is my priority before my daughter, even though my daughter is of course priority, and I would never put her at risk of any harm or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's also important for me to prioritize him in my life, because our relationship is
Yeah.
everything
You
to
have
me,
to have a healthy relationship first.
yeah, got to keep it fresh. You got to make time for them, make time for
Mm-hmm.
intimacy, and,
Yeah.
wine and dine them, still get to know each other,
Yeah.
still
Like,
have
don't let
fun
that get
dates.
lost.
Yeah, it's so
Don't lose that.
important.
Don't lose that.
Especially for new parents. Like, my daughter is 2, so I really had,
Mm-hmm.
I was really holding on to this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm making it a really strong effort to just, like, I want her to know what it's like to have 2 parents that genuinely love each other. And she
Truly,
can see
yes.
that, and she sees that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, I think it's important for self care as well. I don't want her to see me just as a mother. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
only role. My only role is not just a wife. There's, I'm
Like, you're a
into all
person.
kind. I'm a woman,
Yeah,
and
you're a woman
with that
first.
comes a career. It comes with
Yeah.
goals. I want her to know,
Aspirations.
yes, that's
Yeah.
also a part of being a woman. It's not just your roles in life. There's more to you, and I
Mhm.
want her to see that too. So
And just part
for
of
me,
being human,
self-care is
period.
important. Exactly, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So I feel like
And
a lot of people kind of miss that step when they start having kids. Like, they think like,
yeah, they
my
neglect
kid,
themselves.
yeah, they
Mhm.
neglect themselves, they neglect their
Yep.
relationships. If your
Yep.
friends, your family, those people still matter too, and it's important for yourself to still make time for them.
Yes, and you all listening, if it's, we can still talk about you dudes,
Yeah.
that as a father, you don't have to lose yourself. You need to put your self-care first as well, and your relationship first. And
Mm-hmm.
then, obviously your child will they're not going to get mad because you're caring for yourself,
Right.
like, they
They're
need
only
to
going to
see that.
benefit from it. A good you
They're only going to
will be a
benefit.
better parent.
Yeah, the worst thing is seeing your parents stress
Mm-hmm.
and not
Just not
have
take care of
goals,
themselves.
not take
Right.
care of themselves, lose their health, lose their mental health. Like, oh my God, that
Mm-hmm.
is the worst. That
Mm-hmm.
is the worst. So, our last, I guess, little advice tip for
Mm-hmm.
today is just to kind of put yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
um put your child, not so high on the pedestal where you're losing all of your sense of self and your
Mm-hmm.
relationships, and everything's
Make
at
time for
risk here
you.
just because there's a child. Like, just because you have a child, it shouldn't ruin your life. you know like,
Yeah, it
they're
doesn't
not
mean
there
that
to
you've lost your life.
exactly, they're
You
just
still
an
have a life to live. It's just
yeah
another it's just another, like, part of who you are.
it's just another journey that you're about to embark on as a
Yeah,
parent. And
exactly.
that's all it is, and that's how you have to think about it, because you don't want to lose yourself. You really
Hmm.
don't, and you don't want to be lost down the line and think, oh well, without my child, who am I? Like,
Yeah.
you need
You
to
don't want to
figure out
resent your
yourself.
kids either later in life.
No, no. So we just wanted to leave out on that note.
Take care of
And
you.
yes, take care of you, boo. So we're so glad you joined us today. And thank you so much
Yes.
for listening. If you want to, I hope you start a YouTube channel or something on your social media, because I don't want to just sound like I'm promoting mine. but but if you'd like to follow on social media, DM me any questions that you want us to discuss on this podcast. It's Briannicus G, and on Instagram, Twitter. I will probably be streaming on Twitch again pretty soon, and on YouTube, Briannicus G as well. So I'm on all of those. and I post regularly.
I do have an Instagram. Feel free to hit me up at alexray.zapata. Yeah, same thing. If you have any questions or you want to have a question on here answered on our podcast, feel free to DM me or Bri, and we'd be happy to answer it on here.
For sure, guys. Thank you so much for listening today, and I hope you have a really great day. It was fun.
Talk to you next time.
Peace out, y'all. Bye.
Bye.